What's going on, guys? The remote front office back with another offseason video. Today we are covering the Washington Wizards. They seem to be a team that is set on making the playoffs. However, yet again, they have missed the playoffs. Um, this is going to be one of the tougher advices I give as far as an offseason, just because I know what direction they should go, but management has made it crystal clear that they are going another direction. Before we get too far into this, you guys can make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications for the remote front office. We are going to go through every team's offseason, and then eventually we're going to do a mock draft for the lottery, as well as grades for the lottery, summer league reactions, all sort of offseason content, trades, everything like that will be on this channel. And then we'll even cover stuff during the season next year. But first and foremost, as far as Washington goes, this news did come out a couple days ago. They are hiring the GM that was from the Clippers organization. He now runs the Wizards, the WNBA affiliate, and the G League affiliate. He has full control over that. So this with them not having a GM for the last month or two, I had hoped that they would pick off some assistant GM, whether it be from the Thunder organization, the Utah organization, one of these rebuilding type teams. Orlando's organization, right? And bring in an assistant, give him a chance to be a true GM, and say, clean the slate, get everything off the books. I want a hard reset, rebuild this team, right? Because it's truly what this team needs. Like when we go into their team needs for the offseason, it's just there's a lot of holes for a team that's so expensive and underperforming, I guess. I don't know if I'd call them underperforming as much to players, what we think of the players, as opposed to what the owner thinks, right? But just knowing where they got their GM from, it indicates to me as the Clippers were a big just buy, trade for superstars, do this, do that, everything to contend currently, right? It signifies to me that the rebuild just isn't an option in Washington's future, apparently. I understand you have Bradley Beal on the books. I understand that you have guys with contracts coming up. Personally, I would have looked to reset because you've clearly shown over the last couple of years that when you pick around the 8th overall pick, like you are again this year, you tend to make the wrong decision, right? But let's go ahead and get into their upcoming free agents. So the first free agent is going to be Kristaps Porzingis. He has a $36 million player option. Personally, I assume he's declining for, even if it's around the same money, he wants more years, given his injury history that he's had between New York and Dallas, and even a little bit in Washington. You have to keep him, personally. If he walks out the door for nothing, you're resetting yourself, and you have other guys that also have player options that I'm assuming would walk as well if Porzingis walks, right? And then you have Bradley Beal on a max deal with a no trade clause, and really nothing else to show for it. I'm going to be honest. The next guy that also has a player option is Kyle Kuzma. I assume he is declining. I almost guarantee he is declining because I believe he's going to get paid more than, I believe it's a $13 million option he has for this year. I would assume he's anywhere from 18 to 22, would just be my guess. Shooter, spacer, lengthy, wing. It's just the price of today's NBA. Everybody's going to say that's ridiculous. Maybe teams are more fearful of the salary cap implications than I expect. So maybe it's closer to 15 to 18. But as of right now, I think it's 18 to 22. It's just been the track record for guys like this. Obviously, again, you have to re-sign him just from a talent maintenance standpoint, I guess. Even if it's a sign and trade or something, you have to keep that level of value on your roster, right? Next guy for them is Kendrick Nunn, unrestricted free agent, also came over in the Kuzma trade. I am letting him walk. He's $5 million a year is currently what he's at. He's been hurt a lot. I don't see it. He had I think a 1-game stretch or something for them where he had a really good run. But all in all, I don't see paying him when you need to get this roster in order, right? Unless maybe it's a minimum, he's like a third string point guard, whatever. But I think that you just let him walk and move on. Taj Gibson, unrestricted free agent. As a Chicago Bulls fan who loves Taj Gibson, walk. Just let him walk. Let him go. Let him get out of this organization. I understand he may not get a job. He may get a Udonis Haslam type job somewhere. I don't care. Let him walk. He doesn't need to be here. He's not going to mentor Porzingis. They have nothing in common. Let him walk. Let him leave. And best of luck to Taj. I hope he gets an assistant coaching job or just end of the bench guy somewhere else that's less than what this team is. All right, let's have the hard talk. Projected cap for the Washington Wizards. Currently based on cap holds, everything like that. Negative 19 million is what they're currently at. They are over cap space. Not a surprise because obviously you have Porzingis' contract, you have Beal's monstrosity of a contract, you have Kuzma's, you have Monte Morris. Just you have a lot of guys on roster that are going to be expensive, and it's just a small market team. Now, if you do go the crazy enough route to decline all the options and open up all of your projected cap space, they have 28 million. Does that bring another star in? Because as I'm going to go over here in a second, what team needs, that's what you need. You need a star. You need a 1. Bradley Beal is clearly a 2, maybe a 3. But you need a star, and I don't see that. You getting a star for 28 million, right? It's just matter of fact, I don't see it. But this team, for trying to give them free agents, is such a difficult decision because here's what they need, right? You need a superstar. Again, like I said, Bradley Beal is a 2. Bradley Beal is maybe a 3. He is not a 1. His contract is horrible. He has no trade clause, which means if you do trade him, he has to want to be traded, and he gets to pick where to go. It's just the GM running into this is just he's running into a brick wall right now because of the corner management's going to put him in, or ownership, I guess, and the corner of this roster is going to put him in. I personally would have blown it up. That's just me. I'm going to say it time and time again with this roster, but these are the cards you're dealt, and so this is how you have to react, right? A point guard. I think Monte Morris is good. Don't get me wrong. I really like Monte Morris. I just think his ideal role is a backup point guard, right? I don't think he's a starter, especially next to a guy like Bradley Beal. I like, again, the assist to turnover, just the general facilitating. I think that's what Bradley Beal needs next to him because he's kind of a shot chucker. I just don't know if Monte Morris 30 minutes a night for 82 games is the solution to that, right? I think you need a slightly better upgrade at that point guard position and let Monte Morris be your guy off the bench because I think that's just where he excels, right? Like I said earlier, cap flexibility would be great for this team. I just don't see it, but it's a team need. I mean, you have no flexibility. You're tied in, especially if you sign these guys long term. You're really tied in. I just don't know where they go from there. They need some youth that's actually going to contribute, right? Johnny Davis looks like just a complete shell of what he should be, is going to be the nicest way I can put it. You traded Rui Hachimura for cents on the dollar. He looks like he's turned a new leaf in LA. Denny Avdia, you have to make a decision on. Shooting hasn't come around. He's still a decent defender. I like the idea. I just don't know, again, how far he's going to go. You've got Daniel Gafford, but Daniel Gafford's 26 now, I think. And so it's just you're not quite youthful enough to where a rebuild makes sense right now, but your youth isn't good enough to justify you keep going, right? As far as exceptions go, because that's kind of the route we're going to have to look, especially negative 19 million. As a non-taxpayer, they do have a non-taxpayer mid-level of 12 million. They have not used their biannual yet, so that's about 4.5 million. And then they have about 13 million in luxury tax space. That's obviously going to depend KP, Kuzma, those sort of guys. So as far as their free agent list, it's pretty small. Just because again, there's not a lot of space, there's not a lot of flexibility. So I had to look at guys that would probably take the mid-level exception, if anything. So Bruce Brown has a player option. He only makes about 6.5 right now in Denver. Maybe if they win a ring, I can see him trying to get a paycheck. He's 26. Take a 2-year deal, right, at about that mid-level money. And just, you take the 2-year deal, your 2 years is up, you're 28, you go again for another contract, right? Kind of where I think he looks for it. Alec Burks is a team option. I doubt Detroit cuts him. just because I think he's good for their locker room. But maybe if they're trying to shed space or they're trying to take on a bad contract and they need the space, um, having him again as a floor raiser for Washington and a bench guy that can contribute, I think is really helpful to them. And he'd be probably a little less than the tax pyramid level, I would assume. Dante DiVincenzo is a player option. This would have be a pretty big boost in salary for him, as he got signed to, I believe, the Warriors by annual exception because he's at about 4.5. So giving him a little bit of a pay boost. We've seen what he can do in spurts. Hopefully, he can do it consistently for Washington. I doubt it, but I just think overall that team needs. He's a younger guy that maybe has some flash still in the pan, right? And the last guy I have for them is T.J. Warren. T.J. Warren on a minimum right now. Maybe you give him the biannual. That's like quadruple what he's making right now. And he can just come in and maybe after another year of coming back from the injury, he's better. And he just can put the ball in the bucket, and then you just score a bunch of points with Beal, Warren, Kuzma, and Porzingis, and hope you can get enough stops to win a game. I don't know. And then they only have one first round pick this year. It is pick 8. As I do a little more of my draft, as far as trying to figure out what's project or like what needs teams have, um, who players they're projected to take, positions they're projected to take, and kind of fine tune that big board a little bit. And I can give you guys at that time probably Washington's 3 biggest picks. As of right now, personally, I would look at one of the Thompson twins, but that's just for that guard position. But anyhow, it's been another episode of the Remote Front Office. I appreciate everybody coming through. I will catch you guys next one. Next one we have is a brighter future. It is the Utah Jazz. I will catch you guys in that one. Peace.